Okay, so graphing inequalities. You can see basically here, look, we got 3 inequalities that we're going to have a little look at. Just going to pop those on a graph. And a typical exam question on this is that we would just end up with one just nicely, neatly closed region. Okay, look, you can see I'm nicely prepared here. Look, got a ruler and got a pencil as well. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a set of axes. There we go. And I don't quite know how big this has got to be, so I'm going to go slightly bigger. Now what I do know, and I've cheated slightly, is that I actually know the enclosed region is in the positive quadrant, so obviously you might possibly have to go into negatives on the x-axis, might have to go on the y-axis. Like I said, I cheated a little bit because I did this one before. So we're gonna pop in some numbers on our axes. And like I said, this is quite a nice one here. I'm actually spacing mine out just a little bit more, just to make it a little bit better. Okay, and so I'm going to go up. If you can, try and get it to be the same on each axis. Okay, so y-axis, just up there. Okay, so let's just go in and draw these. So y is less than x. So basically, I'm just going to draw a line, y equals x. But I want y to be less than x. Now, I'm just going to plot my point 4, 4. Okay, so it's a relatively easy line to go and draw. Now you'll notice I'm not actually going to draw one continuous line. I'll explain that in just a second. I'm gonna put a little dash line along here. Like I said, I'll explain this in just a moment. Okay, there we go. And x has to be less than 3. So let's now draw the line x equals 3 effectively. And again, I'm also going to draw a dash line. Like I said, I'll explain in a moment. So here we go. Don't get confused and draw it that way around. Okay, that's y equals 3. So let's draw x equals 3. Here we go. So again, I'm just going to put a little dashed line just there. Okay, and then the other one we're going to draw is that y has to be greater than or equal to 4 minus x. So again, we're going to draw the line y equals 4 minus x. So if you're not too sure, just think about a few points on the line. So for instance, if when x is 4, y would be 0, so it would go there. And when x is 0, y would be 4. Okay, there we go, look, we've got it. If you want to, go and work out some other points on the line. And now this time, I'm not going to draw a dash line. I'm going to draw a continuous line. Okay, so just look at why I've done that as a continuous line. These is dash lines. Okay, so this one is y has to be greater than or equal to 4 minus x. So this is the line y equals 4 minus x. But it includes it. So the difference with these is that includes, if you remember a little bit when we talked about number lines, we shade it in. So here it's a continuous line, okay? And then on these ones, it doesn't include it, so therefore we just do them as a dash line. Okay, so which region do we shade in? Like I said, it's normally pretty obvious what you've got to do at this stage, but it's not always the right answer. But if you have a little look, so y has to be less than x, so that was this line just here. So that's going to be on this side. Okay, it's got to be less than x. X has to be less than 3. So we're talking about, there's line x equals 3. So we're talking about that line. And then y has to be greater than or equal to 4 minus x. So we're talking about that area there. Okay, so the area that we've got is just this area just in here. Normally it asks you to go and label it with an R for sort of region. But like I say, most exam questions, it would just have a nice enclosed region. Even if you're not too sure, you can usually kind of work it out with a little bit of common sense which section you're actually talking about. Okay, so basically all we're really doing is drawing linear lines there. The same method would apply with, you might be asked to do a quadratic. It's exactly the same principle, just might be a slightly more complicated looking graph. Remember that you might well go into negatives. Okay, so you might just have to, worst case scenarios that you might draw it and then think, wait a minute, I just need to go and draw it again. Again, exam questions would usually sort of tell you which what sort of values to use or what range of values to use on your x-axis. Okay, so if you're happy with that, have a go at a few questions. Okay.